Hello, everyone. I'm Colin Tessier of WrestleZone.com, and I'm joined by Josh the Goods Woods. Josh, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm good. I realized I just called you the Goods, and I guess your new nickname is the Tactical Beast. I should have led with that
Yeah,
first.
well, good, man. It's new, so I get it. You're forgiven this time. Don't have it again. Yeah, man. The technical beast, dude. Yeah, I'm really enjoying like this new aspect of where I'm trying to go and what the technical beast brings. So I'm looking forward to just more of that.
What does the Tactical Beast bring to the table? What do you say?
Uh, yeah, man, that's a good one. It's just after the Dolan thing, and then now that the story of Silas and I are doing, man. People think, oh, just because Josh Woods is like a fun guy in the back, man. You can't turn that switch on, but man, like I'm bigger than everyone in the pure division. I'm stronger. It's so cliche, right? But, like I'm faster, bigger. Like I wrestle different than everybody else, and like I really am like technically more sound than everyone else. And I look at our roster and God, it sounds so bad to say, but that's how I feel. And what I really think that most of our guys are very one-dimensional. They're really good at wrestling, or they're violent, or they're lucha guys, or they're high flyer guys. But we don't really have very many multi-sport athletes or multi-talent athletes. So I think like I'm like a hybrid animal, and I'm a beast, man, bigger than everybody else. And Caprice is time and time again just beast mode and throwing them around and like I just feel like I'm technically different than everybody else, and that's kind of how I started coming up with it. And my movements are different, and things I can do are different than everybody else. So it's just a little less play, a little more serious.
Yeah, and
There's a time for fun and games. Always a time
exactly.
for fun.
Always. But a time that was not for fun and games was your match with Silas Young this past weekend on Ring of Honor Wrestling. It was a pure rules match, a lot of bad blood here. You faced Silas a couple weeks ago, and he cheated to beat you, and that was the latest stage in this ongoing rivalry. But this time around, you had the chance to really say, all right, I want to prove I'm the better wrestler. You faced off in a pure rules match, and you were able to kind of recapture your success from the pure tournament and really use that that knowledge of pure wrestling and really prove that you came away with a victory. So I think it's kind of fair to say you came out to be the better wrestler. So I guess in hindsight, what are your thoughts on that victory and being in there with a guy like Silas Young, and just I guess your overall thoughts on it?
A lot. I mean, aside from what we're doing, what this story is, what this feud is, I mean, we're storytelling, man. I'm not sure what's aired yet, because I just kind of watch it, when we're supposed to, or when the things happen, and I think the week by week we'll have like something else. But like the story that we're telling, if you watch these matches consecutively, you're going to see the story that we're telling, and I'm so proud of the work we're doing, and like just like the animosity that we have, and as people who don't look at Silas and think like a real technical guy, which is weird because he's so good. I think he's really underrated when he comes to like technical wrestling or just pro wrestling in general. I think he's great. And when you're with guys like that, or Dalton and Lethal and Gresham, you have to elevate your game. There's no room to slack or just to ease off a little bit. You have to go like full throttle all the time, man. And Silas, so we bring it out of each other, because it's like that classic big brother, little brother thing, it's like, oh man, like, oh, you hit me. Oh, okay, let's do this. I'm gonna hit you back. And then like, oh, you're not gonna one up me this time, dude, and it's more fun for me at this point. Like the pure stuff is so fun for me, because like my brain just relaxes, and it's like, oh, I can just wrestle here and flow and move and just react, and that's where I feel the most comfortable. And then because Silas is really good and creative, it really allows me to just kind of just to roll. I love it.
Would you say that comfort kind of, I mean, this might be an obvious answer, but it comes from, would that come from your background with wrestling? Because that's something you've been so, obviously you've been wrestling. One of the broadcasters said this week, you've been wrestling your whole life, like that you've been wrestling amateur style for, pretty much your whole life at this point. So does it feel kind of like the back of your own hand in that sense, pardon the cliche, but that you are so familiar with it in a pure rules match like that?
Yeah, man, you just think like instinct takes over, right? It's just things you're so comfortable with, and it just almost feels more natural for me to kind of be in like that pure environment and just really just wrestle, right? It's just wrestling. I have to worry about throwing strikes or high flying. I mean, there are guys that can do that in the pure stuff, but I personally don't have to worry about that. I can just wrestle. I can just be myself and let my instincts take over and my movements. And there's so many things. I don't want to sound like that guy. Like I'm just really good at wrestling, and then the brain just starts like thinking A to B to C to D to E, and it's just I don't know, man, it just makes it more fun. And then like I know Silas is like right there matching me step for step, and it's like, oh, well, all right. So it makes it cool, man, and exciting. And I've learned so much in my whole time, like training and different partners I've had and coaches that it's like, oh, well, I can pull this from that guy or this guy and that. It's like, well, I can apply this here. Just my brain just works like, and I love it. But I don't think about it. I just do it. Just do it.
Speaking of learning, obviously working with Silas Young as an opponent now, but we can backtrack to kind of explore the history there. You first were in a tag team with him with two guys, one tag. And, for me, I know I really enjoyed your work together. That's some natural chemistry, even though you wouldn't expect it on paper. It is kind of this odd couple thing. But maybe it's fair to say that the pandemic may have like changed the potential direction there. But like looking back on your time teaming with Silas, what would you say was maybe the most beneficial aspect of that?
Teaming with Silas was awesome, man. You got a guy who's so experienced and he thinks differently, and our backgrounds are so different, and he's been really successful in Ring of Honor, and it would be so foolish of me to not listen to what he says, or at least to take it as with a grain of salt. Like, well, I wouldn't do it that way, but I understand why you're doing it that way. So I think just more so learning just about wrestling in general was like the biggest thing I learned. Psychology and timing and those like little things that you don't really hear a lot of people talking about, because those are like the really important parts, man. Everybody can learn a move, right? Like how many dudes can do a 450? Like, it's not as cool anymore. But like, man, like I really like a guy, when I watch wrestling personally, I like when I see good footwork or crisp movements and things like that, as opposed to like a big choreographed like thing, like that's just kind of like where I'm at with that. And besides, like really, he's just so gritty, and like he seems so angry, but he's such like a big teddy bear. And like I miss that, because like our dynamic was so cool, because like that's really how we are in real life, which is so funny. Because like backstage, like always bothers, like, bro, can you stop? Can you just leave me alone for like 5 minutes? And I'm just like, dude, come on, I don't want to play. That's me. That's real. And like people are like, what? That's fake. No, it's not.
I think that really translated very well on screen. It was that very fun dynamic, and obviously we always want to look forward here. But looking back on it, is there any disappointment that you guys couldn't really reach that next level of getting the tag titles? Because there was definitely a strong stretch of time where I felt like you were kind of right on the precipice, and then, like I said, maybe the pandemic may have affected that, but it felt like you're kind of right there in a lot of ways.
Yeah, we were undefeated as a tag. I think we were 7-0 before we wrestled Gresham and Lethal for the titles after we beat the Briscoes for the #1 contendership. I remember that. I think we kind of were expecting Jay and John to not do what they did. They cheated looking back, and obviously they're kind of going through their thing, and where they are now. I think if we had played out with us and they were staying on track, I think that would have been a very different match as opposed to when they were kind of doing what they were doing then. But yeah, that does suck, man. We definitely had like what it's supposed to be, like the next tag champs, and the pandemic kind of slowed some things down, and things changed, and injuries and scheduling and so on and so forth, and we tried to kind of venture into our own things, which really helped me to be where I'm at now. So like, yeah, it would be really cool to pick that ball up and run with it, but that's just not happening right now, especially with what we're doing and like these series of matches that we have going on. That I'm not against it, man, but I think Silas kind of feels like a little hurt, because hey man, I had a lot of success in the pure division and doing the pure matches, and he really wanted us to be the tag champs, and I could have done both. There's no reason why I couldn't have done both. Gresham did it. Why can't I do it? So I just think he wanted focus on one thing, Josh. Don't put too many eggs in your basket. That's a little Silas anecdote right there. But yeah, so
obviously, yeah,
you can't talk about. Go ahead.
Sorry. Now, obviously, nothing's are very different. You're in this rivalry, like the series of matches. I say rivalry, you say series of matches, but you're having, you're not. It's not like you're a tag team necessarily. Obviously, you're facing each other now. So I asked about what it's like to work with Silas, but what's it like to work opposite him. What's the difference in that dynamic, and maybe what you've managed to kind of learn from that aspect of it, or what you've taken away from that from this chapter or ongoing chapter of this story.
Working with him, just as a team, like I said, man, just bouncing ideas off and ways to think about matches and how to structure things, really makes a big difference with a guy that's so experienced and been around for such a long time. Like that's kind of something I really was lacking for a while, which is why, honestly, why I really wasn't doing a lot on my own prior to that. So, Silas taking him under his wing really just changed my whole career essentially. Facing off with Silas, man, it really is that for me. This is how I feel. This is basically like I'm the little brother, he's the big brother. I took his toy and I broke it. Oh, dude, I'm sorry, but I love you, man. But he's really that's his favorite toy, and I broke it. The tag team was his favorite toy, and I essentially broke it, and I understand that. And it's just Silas got to watch me. He got to watch me work when we were tag team. He got to watch me do what I can do to people, and now he's experiencing it firsthand, what I can do. And we both had to elevate because. And man, I know what he can do. He knows what I can do. So it has to be fast. It has to be gritty. It has to be aggressive because one slip. Oh, I know you're doing that, and he knows I'm doing this. So just that aspect has been it's been really cool, man. The challenge of oh man, well if I do this, he knows I'm going to do it. But how do I counter that counter to do what I want to do? So that's the fun part.
Absolutely, and that really reflected in the match we saw this weekend, where obviously your two partners have been working together for quite a while. You know each other very well, so obviously you have each other scouted in that sense. But you mentioned it's a serious match, so I don't want to spoil anything, but maybe once this chapter is at its end, right, where even if there's more to it after this, where do you see where do you want to go after Silas Young? Or do you intend to challenge for the pure title or even possibly the world title? What's next in that sense?
So for me personally, I feel my mind is set on the pure title. This is where I thrive at. This is where I feel the most comfortable. Winning the world title, heck yeah, man, that would be great, right? That's an accolade all on its own. I'm not saying it's above or beyond the pure title, but obviously it's very different. You're not gonna have the same guys in each division because let's face it, this is nothing on the Briscoes, but you're not gonna see Jay and Mark in a pure rules match, right?
Right.
That'd be cool. They could definitely do it, but they're probably not. So to have that caliber that's world class caliber, man. And when I think of when people ask me this question, I think of Jay Lethal because I spend a lot of time with Jay and I've learned from Jay and watched Jay a lot. Jay's the kind of guy that could take anyone, any style, and have a phenomenal match. You could put any title on this guy and he'll do great. He'll run with it. It'll be phenomenal. I don't think I'm there yet. I don't think I could win a world title and have a great match with everybody. And I think I'm still a little bit away from that, but I'm close. So the pure thing is definitely my wheelhouse, and I know I can definitely run with that, and that's where my heart's at. But I'm just a little shy of really believing that I could be a world champion.
Well, I'm sure you'll get there. But in the meantime, if you are focusing on the pure division, I remember you faced Jonathan Gresham back in the fall and came up short. So assuming, it seems like Gresham has a pretty iron grip on that title. If you do kind of the rankings here and get a rematch, how might things go? What are you doing to what's the difference between the Josh Woods you're seeing now versus the one we saw in the fall? How would you necessarily try to ensure that the outcome was different this time around?
That's almost a year ago. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, man. I mean, you can only kind of just control what you can, man. I can only train X, Y, and Z. I can only try to watch and counter and break down. But Gresh is great, man. Gresh is constantly growing. He's learning. He's evolving. But I think what's the big difference is I'm focused on this. This is all I want to do. All I care about. But Gresham has to deal with the feud with him and LFI, or the Foundation and LFI, and them and Violence Unlimited. So, is Gresham fully focused on the pure thing right now? I don't know, man. I think I just kind of want a little more. If that were me and I was in that same situation, yeah, cool. I'd want to help my teammates out, but still gotta handle business, man. So you gotta kind of really focus on that. It's having your hand in too many plates, man. It's just you're getting a lot, but you're not really focusing on one thing.
Yeah,
I think that would be a big difference because we're both growing. We're both good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And to me, one way that growth really came to light was during the pure championship tournament last fall. You faced PJ Black, you faced Jay Lethal, and then you faced Gresham and you faced Lethal after the tournament, I believe. And so this great stretch of matches against you just said a couple minutes ago, world class talent. What was maybe the biggest benefit of having that kind of pretty condensed stretch of just testing yourself against some of the very best and brightest in Ring of Honor like that?
I think the biggest thing from that is, man, that like I can hang with like those guys and do better. Like I beat Kenny King in the first round. I mean, he's a former television champion, dude. He's been a former tag champion. He's wrestled all over the world, man. And hanging on that level and being on, that's just a testament to like to the growth I've just had just in the past year alone. From then to now, or even a little bit before that. It's a lot of growth and putting in the time and effort, man. Because a lot of guys get to this position, they're like, oh, well, I have a contract, I have security, but like they don't keep growing. They stay stagnant. But like I train all the time, man. Like I'm in the gym 6 days a week. I'm in the wrestling ring a lot. Like I still train with my MMA buddies. I do the amateur stuff still. So like I don't ever stop training. And I think just that is like kind of made the biggest difference. And of course, you got guys like Jay's always training. I don't know if he ever talks about it, but he trains all the time. His school is 2 hours from me. Like he runs classes. He's in the class. He's not one of those guys that just sits and goes, all right, you guys do this. He's doing it, So like Jay's constantly growing, and like I'm inspired by that, man. Like Jay has every right in the world to just do shows, no training. But he's like one of the best because he trains so much. And like I'm like, man, if I have to wrestle Jay, I have to train more. I have to do more. I have to be better. So like that's kind of the difference in that. Like he's motivated. He motivated me to want to be better, and that's kind of like the athlete and wrestler that Jay is.
Yeah, and again, that growth has really showed like this rapid, period of just change and growth, where you go from the pure title tournament to facing Dalton Castle to now beating Silas Young in a pure rules match. So beyond that, I guess I feel like I have to ask at this point. You mentioned earlier, everyone's got one specific trait. You mentioned some people are violent, some people are this other thing. But with Ring of Honor these days, it feels like almost everybody's aligned with a stable. Would you ever see yourself necessarily teaming up with or aligning with a stable like that, or are you more of a stay to yourself kind of guy at this point?
Oh man, that's a good one. If you think about like amateur wrestling, like in college and stuff like that, growing up, like you think individual sport, team concept, right? That's kind of how my mentality is. It would be cool to align with the foundation and ride that train, but like I don't agree with them 100%. So I think like there'd be a lot of conflicts there, and like yeah, I think it would be cool to have that that camaraderie with those guys. But at the end of the day, man, I think they think something way different than me, and I can't get behind it 100%. So I'd probably just be like, thanks, but I'm okay. I think I would just kind of choke on myself and keep doing what I'm doing.
If I might ask, what are those ideological differences? Like, why do you not agree with the foundation?
I like this question. It's a good one. I agree with what pure wrestling is. It's really cliche. It really is one of the pillar foundations of what Ring of Honor was built on, right? Like it's the yin and yang, violence and like the pure wrestling, and I get it. But like I don't believe in purifying the whole company. I don't. I think that when you look at guys like Gresham and Hot Sauce, you could put Hot Sauce on the violent side, but like Rhett, myself, the Wheelers, the Fred Yehis, man, like we're different. We're so different, and that's what makes us special. But if I'm the champion and I make the TV title or the world title pure, well, that doesn't make it any different than the pure title. It doesn't make it any more special. It doesn't make it unique. And I think us being unique to pure wrestling strictly, it makes us stand out. Because I mean, no offense to Flip, but I don't really look at Flip and go, this guy should be the pure champion. I think guys like Flip should be in the world title. They should be in the television title, that bracket. But but we are different, and I believe we should stay different and unique, and that's where I differ for those guys.
Yeah, I mean, I makes perfect sense to me. And I guess lastly here, looking forward, we're looking back a little bit. Now looking forward, this summer, at least for Best in the World, fans are coming back to Ring of Honor. Tickets went on sale today, so what does that feel like after this lengthy brunt of the pandemic? No fans now, at least the one show, having fans back. How does that feel?
Yeah, it's exciting, man. Like especially because I know what's going on. I know what we're doing. I know like a lot of things that are happening, and just having the fans back is just going to give it life. And I'm just personally excited just to hear it, man. Even if it's just like for a second, just some sort of just roar. And man, it sucks when you're putting your heart and soul out there, and man, I could only imagine when Silas hit me with that chair when I wrestled Dalton at the last pay-per-view, like how the crowd would have reacted to that, right? Like there wouldn't have been, yeah, at least I hope people don't want to see me get hit with a chair, but some people do, I'm sure. But like, man, just like that moment would have been just great if there were people just booing or just angry or just mad, and I miss the reactions that we get. I miss like the way they make us feel and how they help us move and just really feel it, man. And like, this is going to be phenomenal. And yeah, it's exciting, man. It's like we got the new bike for Christmas and it was snowing, but now the snow is like up, so now I can ride my bike again. It's like, yes, it's like, it's so exciting, man. And I'm like a child. I can't help it. Sorry. But so, yeah, it's cool, man. I'm stoked. I'm looking forward to it.
As am I, as are every Ring of Honor fan. I like that bike comparison. That's a very fitting metaphor like that. But hopefully, obviously you mentioned now you beat Silas Young, and now maybe you're climbing the ladder in the pure division. So hopefully you might have a title match on that card. And whether you do or not, hopefully you'll have a prominent spot on the card wherever it might be, and so that you can definitely enjoy that return of that live reaction. And otherwise, obviously you had this match with Silas this past weekend. Hopefully you'll be on to bigger and better things sooner rather than later. And every week here, Ring of Honor Wrestling airs every weekend. You can catch it on Fight and catch it on the Ring of Honor website as well. So make sure to tune in for that. And I also do the Ring of Honor Recap of Honor podcast every Monday. And Josh, I thank you for your time today. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I wish you nothing but the best in your continued pursuit of the pure title.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for your time. It was fun. It was cool.